Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Raven, and here's her story. I just made a donation to your channel, and I was hoping you could make a video for me about the son-husband concept. I have only heard about this concept on your channel, and I'm beginning to think I'm married to a son-husband for 16 years. You did a video for me about a year ago about my narcissistic husband who staged a suicide attempt with a loaded shotgun to his mouth, then spent a few days in the mental hospital before having his parents hire a lawyer and demanding a divorce. This led to a lot of abuse by his flying monkeys, plague of locusts, and a nasty divorce and smear campaign. Fortunately, the children and I are fine now. The narc has left us alone and he barely sees his children anymore, which has helped them heal as well from his abuse. It upsets me to think they were being abused. They were being abused just as much as me for 16 years. But I didn't have the courage to leave until he pulled that stunt with the shotgun. The abuse has made me and the children stronger, but I wish they didn't have to endure his abuse for so long because I didn't understand what narcissistic abuse was, and certainly didn't know what a son husband was either. I used to think my ex-husband was a narcissist, but the more I learn about borderline personality disorder, the more I think he has BPD and NPD. Are son husbands just overgrown mama's boys? Pretty much. Basically, a son husband is going to fall into borderline personality disorder because that's where the histrionics are embedded in the borderline personality disorder. The mommy need is part of that borderline personality disorder. I asked because my ex-husband was always seeking the approval of his parents, especially his mother, to the detriment of our marriage and relationship. Early on, when we were first dating, his parents came up to college for a weekend to go to the football game. The narc immediately canceled the date we were supposed to go on because he said, "My parents are here and are taking me out to dinner, not you." He treated me like I was nothing and I didn't mean anything to him. Exactly. Well, what he was telling you is who really matters in his life, that you will always be second fiddle to mommy. And by parents, it's mommy, the true love of his life, the true son husband. You see who he reacts to. And when they try to alienate, like when the narc or the borderline tries to alienate you from someone else that they are with, okay, they're showing you what your status is. They're trying to alienate you, especially from mommy. Okay, what he's telling you is, okay, subconsciously in his own mind, okay, this is who I really care about. I got mad at the time and we had an arrangement, but I decided to let it go. It seemed like the only times we argued were over something his parents did or wanted to do or something I wasn't doing right in their eyes. It always seemed like he put his parents' needs or wants ahead of mine or the family's needs when we had children. He would drop everything if his parents were coming into town. When his parents visited, they would glare at me when he left the room, but then would be all smiles when he came back into the room. I told him this was going on and he said, "No, my parents don't like you because you don't like them." Everything was always my fault in his eyes. His mother could do no wrong even though he told me stories of her abusing him as a child. She even took him one Mother's Day when we were visiting to have a long walk with him down the street to apologize for being such a horrible mother to him. This was the same holiday she screamed and yelled and pouted over her husband not buying her a Mother's Day card. Another borderline. He said, "I bought you a Lexus, dining room furniture, and a boat this year. Woman, what else do you want?" It's not about what you've already done. It's only about what you didn't do, no matter how minute or minuscule it is. That's why dealing with these people is pointless, is fruitless, is no, get them all out of your life. Because it's never about how much you did. It's about the one thing you didn't. My father-in-law then went out and bought her some card from the dollar store to appease her. He was a narcissist as well, but pretended to be the henpecked husband. Right. Hiding behind her overt crazy, okay, her outward crazy aggressive behavior to suck up the poor me, pity me supply. Bullshit. I promise you, he's pulling the strings on a lot of it. A lot of it. And I'll tell you this, he likes that your husband, your ex-husband, was her son husband, because the more attention she paid to your husband, the less attention he had to pay to her. Very easy. He'd rather buy her a car, a boat, all this expensive things, okay, than to go buy a stupid greeting card at the dollar store that showed any type of emotion in it. Someone else's emotion. That pre-written. Someone else's pre-written emotion. I mean, I hate greeting cards. I think they're the biggest scam ever. Because you're right, you're buying someone else's pre-written emotions. And hopefully you get it right. Get the fuck out of here. I knew something wasn't right about the narc's relationship with his mother when we were about to be married. We got married around Christmas, and his entire family came to stay with his aunt, who lived about an hour from my parents' house. I asked the narc to go to a Christmas party at my church, and he agreed. When he told his mother he was going, she went out back and sat down in the children's swing set and began to cry. Oh, mommy. Did he go run out back? And he'd go run out back and go nurse off her? He went out to check on her, and she said, I'm losing my baby boy. Yet you're just thinking this was a son husband? Oof. I totally thought at the time, this is not normal. You think? Normal grown women don't act this way, but he acted like it was completely normal for his mother to be so upset that he was getting married and defying her by going to a Christmas party at a church. By the way, she's an extreme Bible-thumping Baptist, so I don't understand why she was upset about him going to the Christmas party at a church. Because, like all Bible-thumping narcissists, they're fucking hypocrites. That's why. No need to... That's why. It ain't about the... Look, and I said this about Bible-thumping narcs. They don't believe in the religion. Okay, they believe in the control and the power. They're the God that needs to be worshipped. Okay, understand this. Okay, because this is crucial. Okay, you're getting it fucked up in your head. Okay, well, she's this ultra religious. So why would she have a problem with him going to church? Because she don't believe in that shit. Religion is about worship to her. And to the narc using religion, they don't believe in God. They believe their God. Okay? So not only is he not worshiping her, he's going to go then worships at somebody else's God, house of God too, even though it's the same religion. You understand? Because they always think they're God. She's his God. Don't get it. Religion is nothing more than a tool for these people. Don't get fucked up that they actually believe it. They don't. They don't. They use it. They don't believe it. It was almost like she was afraid she was losing control of him simply because he was getting married, and I asked him to go to a party. I had even caught her once going through his wallet while we were dating, and she said, I'm looking for condoms. Jesus Christ. Red, she's painting the whole goddamn house red. Talk about a red flag. There were so many red flags about this relationship. Especially since she loved to talk about her sex life in front of her children and brag about her and my future father-in-law's escapades. Oh, could be drunky there, man. There was even a time they asked Narc when he was a teenager to help them rearrange the furniture in their bedroom so they could have sex in the middle of the day without the neighbors seeing them through the windows. How about curtains? a bunch of... Ugh. There were other times she tried to exert control over him. For instance, when my grandmother died while we were dating, she would not let him go to the funeral. My entire family kept asking, "Where's your fiance?" The same thing happened when my uncle died near Christmas. She demanded he come home immediately after the funeral and not go with us to the graveside where he had another service. She made him come home because they were having a celebration. She had made baked beans, and that was a special occasion. Narc would drop everything if she asked him to, including leaving me and my family when we were grieving. Right, because anything off of her is not worship on her. This is a sick son-husband relationship. Because I really don't remember your other story. I know that my father-in-law was a covert narcissist, and I think my mother-in-law was a borderline. Absolutely. She was one of these monsters that yells and screams and demands to have her way. The phrase, "if mama ain't happy, then no one is happy," applied to her. I went out of my way to try to make these people accept me as their daughter-in-law, but it never happened, and because it's never going to happen. It's never about what you do for the narcissist. It's about what you didn't. Always, always, always. So stop trying. I think he was always talking behind my back, saying things that I did or did not do simply so he could get sympathy. Yep, exactly. So they can always feed the supply. They could always feed their supply so they always know where they are in case the attack needs to come. They don't have to outright say it. This is how it works. This is how, like, the covert, planning, building a flying monkeys, the whole narcissistic plan plays out. He's the kind of narc that is always the victim and wants people to feel sorry for him. So what better way to get sympathy from his mother than to complain to her about how horrible his wife was and how he was doing the Christian thing, keeping the marriage together. I only found out about him bad-mouthing me to his family after the divorce. I really didn't find out how he viewed our relationship until he demanded we go to marriage counseling. I know that now he was using it as ammunition to get divorced. I believe he was sleeping with his work wife on the side for several years, and just wanted a way out of the marriage and not look bad. And he found that way out by making himself look suicidal, but that's another story. During marriage counseling, the counselor figured out that he interacts with all women through the lens of his mother. All of his relationships with women went back to the relationships with his mother. He described a version of me to the counselor that was false. He basically described his mother to the counselor, but said it was me. His counselor figured this out and figured out he had childhood trauma from this woman beating him repeatedly throughout his childhood when he made little mistakes. Sounds familiar. According to him, she would throw him on the floor when he was 5 years old and beat him for not being able to recite the days of the week in order. He was still playing the... And understand something. I totally believe that. I totally believe that because that's the type of shit that would happen to me. But that is going to force you to go one in two ways. You're either going to go son husband or you're going to fucking hate that person for the rest of your fucking life. I decided to hate her for the rest of my life at that point. He was still playing the victim with the counselor, but at least she managed to see through it and that I was not the person he was describing. It sickened me to think that he saw me as his mother. It made sense because he was always wanting me to baby him throughout our marriage. If we went out to dinner, he wanted me to remind him to get his wallet, but then get upset if I failed to remind him and he forgot his wallet when it came out to play. He's been and what happens is, like with that, he's still living in this prison. He's been institutionalized by her. He needs it. He needs his mommy to step on his nuts. He needs it. That's what he needs. And he's turned it into some weird fantasy, and that's what happens to these son husbands. They need it. They need the abuse. The son husband needs the narcissist's abuse. He was always losing his debit card in the ATM machine, forgetting to pull it out, or losing his keys around the house, and always wanting me to find them or keep track of them. I was she fucking ruined him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has issues with his sexuality as well. You ever check his internet history? Yeah, I would say so. I was responsible for ironing his clothes, but he would get upset if I didn't do it right and then complain that he had to take them to the dry cleaners to get his pants pressed. He could never remember to change the oil in his car or keep the tag on his car up to date, so he was always getting pulled over and a ticket. I was the person holding back the water at the dam that was ready to burst. He would overspend, then get upset and stomp his feet and gripe his fists like a child when I told him we didn't have the money to spend on something. It was like it was his mother telling him he had spent his allowance. I felt like I was the adult in the relationship, having the mother him and the children. After that counseling session, I didn't know if I even wanted to be married to him. I found out he had whole conversations in his head, sometimes for hours, of the mother version of me without interacting with me at all. Oh yeah, he has. Okay, because I've seen my mother do it. I've seen my mother do these things. Have full-on fights with people that never existed. And I was like, oh, did that happen? Oh wait, no, we didn't have that. Now everybody talks to themselves, but my mother would have fights in her head that would only exist in her head, and then could get confused whether they happened in reality or not. Deal with that. He had fake memories or lies that he told the counselor of things I had never done, but he was projecting all the stuff his mother did onto me. It disgusted me to think that my husband was sleeping with his mother, basically when we were sleeping together. We didn't have sex after that because I was hurt. It would be 3 months later that we would tear up our bedroom in a fit of rage, then put a loaded shotgun in his mouth to stage a suicide attempt. Now that we have been separated and divorced for 3 years, I see so many times that he was a mama's boy or had this weird relationship with his mother. He even acts like a male version of his mother, to the point where I started to wonder if he's secretly gay. I already answered that for you, Raven. I think there is definitely a connection between male borderlines and possibly being secretly homosexual. But my ex-husband has been living with a supposedly engaged to his work wife girlfriend, so he may be heterosexual. He's probably bisexual. Look at my video I did not too long ago, the male borderline on the down low, on the DL. It's not that long. It's not that far back. The male borderline on the DL discusses all of that. There are other warning signs that were not right in his home. His brother ran away from home when he was 16 and was brought back by the cops. His brother claims he was sexually molested at the age of 12 by a female babysitter. But the way he acts around my mother-in-law and suppressed memories of trauma my ex-husband has, it makes me wonder now if my ex-husband-in-law had some inappropriate relationship going on with her sons. Sounds familiar. Kind of like how my brother can't be near my mother without having to cover his midsection with a pillow, moves away. People notice. Precious. Needless to say, the way my ex-husband defended his mother regardless of what she did and how she took precedence over me and our family during the marriage, I begun to think that he was a son husband, and I would appreciate any elaboration you can provide on the subject. Again, thank you for all you do. You have a great channel and it has helped me more than you can know to rebuild my life after narcissistic abuse, to help my children through the divorce. I feel the things we go through in life have a choice to learn from them or be defeated. I choose to learn from my mistakes in marrying this ridiculous man. I went back to school and became an ER nurse, something the narc would have never allowed, and I think the experience and trauma of putting up with this bullshit all these years makes me a better nurse. Again, thank you and keep up the good work, Ollie. Sincerely, Raven. Well, Raven, I pretty much spelled it out for you. I mean, you have a pretty good grasp on this to begin with. Okay, understanding that he needs the narcissist abuse. The son husband needs her abuse. So if you go off that and understand this is how he's been trained, that he is so fucked up that most male borderlines are bisexual or gay or in the closet. Okay? By all his listen, the forgetfulness, the I didn't change the tags on my car, the oil in the car, those are all honestly female characteristics. Things typically wives do, girlfriends do. Okay? She made him into a son husband female. Because the son husband, understand this about the son husband. Okay? They don't think like men, they think like women. Son husbands still are women in men's bodies. They got this sick, pseudo-sexual, weird fucking relationship with mama. Mama who, super religious, but, the neighbors can see them fucking because I guess they never heard of fucking curtains. So they got to move the bed, but they're ultra religious. But they have a problem when he goes to your church with you, or to a religious service for somebody who dies in your family. Why? Because this person really isn't religious. They're religious about themselves. They think they're God. It's a fucked up dynamic. It's a fucked up dynamic. The shit he describes that happened to him for the beatings, I absolutely believe it. Because it all falls in line with the male borderline. All of it. All of it. That's how I knew. If you're suspecting he was gay, he's gay. It's why. It's what it is. It's what you were married to. I guarantee you, if you stood on his balls a little harder, acted more like his mother, in reality, he'd have been the happiest motherfucker on the face. I promise you that. Promise you that. The problem was you didn't act like his mother, and he had one of those arguments in his head that never actually happened and made him see you in a way, projected you in a way. And his mother probably knew that the whole time. Saw you for the competition you actually were, as sick as it is. So, I hope that helps, Raven. Thank you so much for your contribution and your story. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it expanding, succeeding, and growing, because this channel is sponsored 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you, all this goes away. So if you like these videos and you want to see more like them, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please help out by liking and sharing these videos wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and make sure you click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.